guys, Heather here from Tye-Dyed Iguana, and today we're going to talk a little bit about supplemental heating for your animals, especially during the winter time. Now, unless you live in a place like Florida or somewhere in the south that doesn't get very cold temperatures for winter, you usually have to add supplemental heating to your reptiles' tanks when the weather gets colder during winter. And when it starts to get colder outside, it usually gets colder on the inside too, and most people don't have their temperature up to the same degree it was like way back in the heat of summer or something. So yeah, you have to make sure that your tank stays as warm as it usually is during the summer, during the winter too, and that usually requires you to add some sort of extra heating. And today we're going to talk about some of the different ways that you can do that. Alright, so our first method of getting some supplemental heat to your animals in winter is adding an additional bulb, like you see here on our Uromastics. Now, our temperature in the store is kept at a constant temperature, at the same temperature in winter and summer, basically. So when we give them heat, we always have to add an additional bulb anyway because their temperature requirements are so high. They require really high temperature. But if you only use one bulb, and no matter how close you get it to the screen, your hotspot isn't reading hot enough in winter, you'll want to add an additional heat bulb. It can be another daylight bulb, it could be an infrared bulb like the one you see here, but that will also work. You just want to make sure that when you do add one, you don't get it too hot, so you just want to monitor that temperature, and you'll be able to adjust the lights up and down as needed. So that is the first way that you can kind of increase the temperature in your tank during the winter season when it gets colder in the house. And even if you have one bulb and maybe it's higher up in the air, you might not even need an additional one. You might just need to lower this one to get down closer to that screen so that your animal gets more heat. So yeah, in those cases, if you can get the hot spot to its proper temperature by lowering the heat bulb, that works too. Now, that additional heat bulb usually only works if you have a bigger tank like the 40 breeders. For the smaller tanks, that doesn't work as well because you don't have a lot of room to put additional heat. So usually for smaller tanks, you'll want to up the wattage of your bulb. I know sometimes when we didn't have our room temperature constant in the winter, we would increase the wattage of our bulbs on some of our 10 gallons to make it warm enough for them during winter. But we don't have to worry about that right now because our room temperature in the store now stays at a constant temperature throughout the year. So, yep, all good. But also, if you got a larger tank and your wattage is maxed out and everything on one bulb, that's when the additional heat bulb will come into play. And then right over here, these are our heat pads, our Undertank heaters. Now these are good for if you want to add a little bit of heat to the bottom of the cage if it gets too cold and maybe you don't have enough room for an additional heat bulb. But yeah, these Undertank heaters work. They can add some additional heat to your tank. You just want to make sure with these that you don't overheat your animal because that can be easy to do. You'll want to keep a close eye on the hot spot and how hot it gets in the whole tank. For sure, you want to make sure that you don't overheat them because when people combine tank heaters and light bulbs, sometimes we get people that overheat the snakes and they can stop eating and get sick. So they get stressed out from being overheated. But yeah, these can work just as long as you use them properly, and yeah, they can help. And then last but not least, we have over here in our aquatic turtle section where we have stuff for your aquatic turtles, we have a Turtle Therm water heater. Now, since the house gets cold, if you've got a tank with water in it and you've got your aquatic turtle that lives in an enclosure that has a water section, you're going to want to make sure that water stays warm enough for them. So this will help you do that. Because the water temps, they'll go way down if your house gets pretty cold during winter, so you'll want to make sure that that water temperature stays constant. And the good thing about this is that it tells you what the water temperature is and everything, so you'll be able to set it to how you want it, the temperature to be. So yeah, this will really help you, especially during those colder months. Alright guys, so that is about it for our supplemental heat tips. Just remember that when you're ever adding additional heat to your tank, you always keep a close eye on those temperatures and make sure that you check the hot spot with a thermometer right below where the hot spot is shining. So just to make sure that you're not accidentally overheating your animal by mistake by adding another heat source. So yeah, we hope that helped you guys out, and we'll see you next time.